I had the privilege of meeting the remarkable women who have recently begun their 4-month journey up the entire Baja on mules. They were overnighting in Todos Santos, and what started out to be just a simple interview about why anyone would do this in the first place ended up being one of the most unforgettable afternoons I've spent in my life. I have hours of recordings to sift through of their individual stories, what their mission is, and why it is important, and especially of Eve Ewing's colorful tales of the rich history of the Baja Peninsula as she experienced it as a young woman, and her observations as she adventures out with the ladies and guides after 50 years. I'm going to also join them on the trail at some point and take you with me. I've decided to share their stories and their journey with you as they progress over many weeks to come. This afternoon segment is just the beginning. In 1963 and 64, 50 years ago, a woman named Joanne Alford and Andy Melling decided to ride the entire length of the Baja on mules. And they put an ad in the paper in San Diego to solicit people to join them to help fund the trip. This story has only been shared in one publication, and that was in 1965 in an article written by Eve Ewing in a magazine called Pacific Discovery. And I'm very pleased to have Eve with me this afternoon, along with the lovely ladies who have decided to recreate this incredible adventure, calling it the Mule 1000, La Mule 1000. And I want to welcome all of you, and let's go around the table and introduce yourselves.
Sure, I'm Olivia Angel, Trudy Angel's daughter. I started riding the peninsula with her when I was about 3, maybe 4 years old.
So you've already done this?
We've done little bits and pieces of it. Our longest stretch was about a month and a half, and she has much better memory than I do. My mom can tell you more about those details. So.
Okay, and Eve.
Hi,
Thank you
I'm
so
Eve.
much for being here.
I'm Eve Ewing, survivor.
And you're the only person who was on the original ride.
That is here.
Yes.
That is here.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
And?
Trudy Angel, and
Great name, Angel, huh?
Yeah, I love that name. We live in Loreto. Olivia was raised in Loreto, and I've run tours in Loreto and have been riding the peninsula and leading kayaking tours since 1970s, and
Wow.
the mule pack trips since 87 or 86 or so.
So
when
these
we first
mules are
started.
yours.
A couple of them are mine, and what I like to do is not keep a whole herd of mules myself, but hire from local people, and that way the mules are very well trained and they're usable animals, and I trust the people and the cowboys who have raised these animals.
So you don't have the same ones through the whole trip? You change them off?
We may be changing them out. We have some of them from a friend up in San Javier area west of Loreto, and a couple from the area south of Loreto, and different guides, different of these cowboy rancher guides who know the trails will be joining us along the route.
How cool. And also joining us is?
I'm Leslie Pringle, and I'm from near Calgary, Alberta, Canada.
Uh-huh.
And I've been coming down to the Baja for a little over a decade, often on Trudy's trips. But as we got to know each other, we realized we were well suited for travel. And on my very first mule packing trip down here, I met Eve and started hearing the stories of the expedition and decided to recreate it. And I just had to nag Trudy enough that she would just get me to shut up by agreeing to do this.
So this is your fault, huh?
Well, it's not entirely my fault, because Trudy and Olivia have had a dream of riding the entire peninsula end to end as well. So we were able to bring it all together for a 50th anniversary recreation of the Melling expedition, and we celebrate it with the Angel expedition.
The Angel Expedition. Can't ask for a better name. That's incredible. Well, that was my first question, was why? But now you just answered it.
My usual answer is why not?
Well, we also have with us Teddy Montes, who is joining this group, and you have your special focus as well on this trip. Why don't you explain what that is?
Simply put, I'm establishing the male Y, this is genetics, of the first soldiers and mission workers in Baja California before 1800 by looking for their descendants today, tying them into the 1930 Baja California census, and all the mission records I've wasted my eyes on reading bit by bit over the past 40 years, and establishing the distinct Y, for example, for the Arce soldiers. These were two brothers who came over in 1750 from Sinaloa, or for the Mabron family.
So you've got the original names.
I have my little
Who they
iPad.
mated with.
I've got
and all.
I've got 4,000 names in my little iPad, and I've been researching to see who I will be looking for, depending on where we ride.
Unbelievable.
And I've done-
40 years you've been researching?
Yeah. I never knew that my family was among the mission workers and the soldiers that were here from 1710 on.
Oh, my goodness.
I first came to Baja driving in a little international harvester back in 1971, and from then on I just couldn't stop going to Baja. I started doing genealogies of local people, not having any idea my family was down here, and then 25 years ago I just blew up. And so I'm basically retracing my family's footsteps on these mule trails.
Amazing.
I'm imagining what it was like to be a woman and pregnant, or 5 kids tagging along. You know, some of these trails haven't been used for well over 200 years.
Oh my goodness, that is a very long time there. So they're not even cleaned up for you to pass through.
No.
No. So you're on quite an adventure, but you have so many different levels of interest attached to
It's
it.
all I want to do.
Really?
That's all I want to do. I've been doing it
Okay.
for 40 years, and when she said, you know, you haven't ridden from San Jose del Cabo to La Paz, I said, I've got to do that. So I'm just riding to San Ignacio, and then I'm going to ride the upper one core that I haven't ridden. But
Fantastic.
taking DNA along the way.
My goodness, so you're just testing people, swabbing them?
I
Is
have,
that it?
I have 2 packages of DNA kits, and I get real friendly with them. I'm only doing
that
males.
kind of friendly?
I get real friendly with them, and then I do a cheek swab.
Uh-huh.
And we've got just the first set of results on the Arce family. It has been some incredible. There are 10 families in the world that carry their Y. 5 of them are Germanic descent, 5 are Hispanic, and none of these families are related in the past 800 years.
Oh, I got the chills.
So it's pretty incredible.
My goodness, you are really doing important work. Congratulations. It's wonderful. I really can't wait to hear more as you go along. What is your love of this trip? Why are you doing this?
Oh, good question. I've been asked that by some of my friends, but they know me, and I like to explore. I like to meet new people. I like especially to explore how various cultures are authentic, how they interact with the world, how they interact with each other, the value that culture has in our lives, the decisions that we make, how we live, what we eat, how that all ties back to our own sense of humanity and spirituality, how we develop our beliefs and our values, what is the same between all these humans in all the different parts of the world I've been to, and what is different. So what keeps us the same and what separates us. I find far more in what keeps us the same
Oh, I hope so.
than what differentiates us
Really?
as cultures. And it just fascinates me, especially people of the land, how they can look at something we don't even notice, and they can tell you, for example, these gentlemen that were riding with the vaqueros, they can look down at the trail and tell you how many mules passed by, or how many deers, and how old they were, and whether or not they were pregnant, and whether they'd be good to eat, and everything. They can just glance down. We still have this ability to retain information, but in our modern world, where we've, for some reason in the last generation, decided that children are these breakable objects, we've isolated them from human contact, which is why so many people have social media contact, because we're pack animals. We need to connect with each other. So our modern children, instead of learning how to read burro tracks, say, or deer tracks, they learn how to chart where all the hidden treasures are in a game of Nintendo. So we still have those parts of our brain active, but in different ways. And I love seeing the juxtaposition between old and new, and how people can still connect in real and authentic ways, and still retain our humanity and our caring for each other, and still, no matter how many mysteries we solve with science, we still have that sense of spirituality and of connection. We don't always understand it. We know that there's mysteries beyond us. And when I'm with people who live on the land, and when I'm on the land myself, I can step away from the rush of the modern world, that pressure we put on ourselves to perform to other people's expectations, and then connect with our own selves, connect with myself, watching other people connect with themselves, watching how people learn to read each other and take care of each other without being asked, how we can take ourselves down from the big wide world in which we are so small and become bigger in a smaller world in which we know each other intimately. And by that I mean heart to heart and soul to soul. And without language, we can still have that connection.
My God, this is not just a joyride. That was beautifully said.
Thank you.
You can follow the ladies on their Facebook page, facebook.com/lamulamil.com. That's LAMULAMIL.com, or indiegogo.com/lamulamil. And please tune in next week for more tales on the trail with the ladies of La Mula Mil. Stay with us. We'll be back after the break.